My first job in Washington after college was working on the 1984 re-election campaign of President Reagan and George Bush. And then I had the privilege at a young age of serving in the second term of the president's administration. So many years later, when I was honored to have the position working on the staff at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation to honor the president on his centennial, what was important to me was to connect the next generation of Americans now with the man that I knew and had the privilege of serving back when I was young. There are millions of young people today who do not know, have no memory of Ronald Reagan as a living president. And so the lessons I learned, the lessons that so many others learned, the influence that he had on our country, the influence that he had on the world to inspire freedom and change the world, is something that I was excited to be a part of during that centennial year. During the centennial, we traveled across the country and we tossed Ronald Reagan coins at high school football games and college football games across the country. We gave out little packets of Jelly Bellies with Ronald Reagan information on them at NASCAR races, Major League Baseball games, and pro football games. Ronald Reagan began his career as a radio sports broadcaster, so we used that connection with radio sports broadcasting to reach out to these sports events all across the country and share a little bit, teach a little bit about Ronald Reagan, his life, his leadership, and his legacy. And it was so exciting to see the young people of today respond to the greatness of the man that we knew when he was President of the United States. Two special memories of the centennial that I have involve the USS Ronald Reagan, this extraordinary aircraft carrier named after the president. One was on his actual birthday of February the 6th, 2011, the day of what would have been his 100th birthday, when a flyover off the decks of the USS Ronald Reagan flew over the Reagan Library in Simi Valley. And then on cruise out in the Pacific Ocean, the sailors of the USS Ronald Reagan spelled out 100 RR on the decks of the aircraft carrier. And that was a wonderful reminder to me of the leadership and the legacy of Ronald Reagan and the difference he made as president in bolstering our military and making us once again the strongest nation in the world, and the reminder that these young men and women are giving us today that they are still honoring him in service on a ship that bears his name.